Okay, so it looks like we should be good to go. Recording this session. Go ahead and pull up my presentation. I kind of expect this to run for about 40 minutes, maybe 45, just depending. And there'll be time afterward for questions if anybody has any questions. But in case you didn't know, this meeting was set up to go over the presentation judging for the Future City competition. You all have been kind enough to volunteer for this. Some of you have already judged other portions of the competition, and some of you are only judging the presentation portion of the judging. Just information on who you can contact. If you have any questions, you can contact myself or Patty Jordan. And an overview of Future City. This has been going on for quite a few years. I think about 35 years, if I'm not mistaken. So this competition has been around for a long time. I believe they're up to about 42 or 43 regions around the United States. And in all of those regions, they attract middle school students. I think about 45,000 of them participate annually around the United States and abroad. And middle school is defined as 6th, 7th, and 8th grade for the terms of this competition. So it's a goal to try to get 6th, 7th, and 8th graders more involved in engineering, about how to make the world a better place, how to build a better city. So that encompasses so much between transportation and logistics and infrastructure, industry. How are you going to have waste systems? How are you going to handle utilities? All kinds of real-time problems that a lot of us deal with every day are what these students are being challenged to. Let's see if there's someone I need to let in. Looks like they're in. Okay. This year's theme, every year there's a theme. This year's theme is a waste-free future. So you'll see a lot of that in the presentation that you're going to review. They're going to talk a lot about how to build a waste-free future. There are 5 deliverables. The essay's been turned in. The scale model has been submitted. They are working on their project plan now. It is due on the 12th. The presentation video, that's what we're here to talk about, it's due on the 8th. And we'll go into more detail about that throughout this presentation. And then on the 15th of January, there is going to be a virtual Q&A session with the teams and a panel of judges. So that's being set up for next Saturday. If you volunteered for that, stay tuned. I think there is a Q&A training coming up next Thursday, so a couple days before the actual Q&A session with the teams. The goal is for us to elect a winner of the North Carolina region. We will do that by the 16th, next Sunday. And the winner of each region then gets to travel to Washington, D.C., where they will compete against the winner from the other 40 or so regions in the United States. So really a big deal. The top teams all are very well put together. They have good scores, and it is always a very top-notch competition at the national competition, which occurs in February, and that's put on by the National Academy of Sciences, and it's done during National Engineers Week up in Washington. The scoring for the overall Future City competition is like this. There's a project plan, a city essay, a city model, and a city presentation. The first 4 are all submitted prior to the 15th, which is they say live at the competition. We're actually doing virtual this year, but the actual competition where they do live question and answer is going to be on the 15th of January. But the others are all turned in ahead of time. The city presentation is a 50-point component of the overall scoring. And what the teams are going to do, they're going to prepare a 7-minute video presentation about their city. There'll be 3 students providing a short video with highlights. They'll talk about their city. They'll talk about their innovation, what makes their city special, and then you will be reviewing that presentation. You'll have it at your fingertips. You'll be able to go over it multiple times. There's a series of questions that you're going to be asked. There's 10 questions you'll be asked to answer. We'll go through those later. And you will score those 10 questions for each of the city presentations that you evaluate. Again, this is the topic they were given, is, designing a waste-free city. Basically imagine a future where there's no waste, no pollution. Is it even possible? Well, you're going to hear a lot of amazing stories from these students in their presentation about how it is and how they plan to do that. Part of their challenge at the bottom here is to design a waste-free city using a principle of circular economy. Well, if you're like me, you probably had to look that up. I did, and it is in Google. You can find it in Wikipedia. And let's see if there's someone trying to get in. There we go. All right, we got Gary in. Oh, bring this back up to presentation mode. Presentation is on. There we go. Okay, so what is the circular economy? Well, it's a way to reuse, recycle, recover. It's a way to design the waste out of the pollution, and pollution out of the stream of designing and building things. It's a way to keep products and materials in use. It's a way to regenerate natural systems. So all of this goes towards reusing, recycling materials, items, making them live as long as possible. So you'll hear a lot about that in the presentations that you'll see, as opposed to like a linear economy, which is where you build something, you use it, and then you throw it away, right? So 2 different ideas. They've been tasked to build a future city of the future, reduce waste, and to use a circular economy in order to develop their cities. We have 33 teams approximately registered. We've got 26 presentation judges. I think maybe a couple less than that at this point. We intend to score each team at least twice. Some will get scored 3 times. And the goal there, or the purpose there, is to have an averaging effect. So if we have multiple judges scoring each presentation, they should be relatively close in score out of that 50 points. But if we do see a big discrepancy, that kind of alerts us. We can go in and look a little closer. It's nothing you have to worry about, but just know that they're all being judged multiple times to help average the scores. I would also add, I think each judge is going to be judging probably 3, maybe 2, probably 3, and possibly up to 4 presentations, but it'll be in that range. This was provided to the teams in the Future City Handbook. I'll send out a copy of this and a copy of this presentation following this meeting. Also, this as a reminder, this meeting is being recorded, so that will be available as well. But these are some of the requirements that the students are put to the students. They have a time limit. So their video presentation can only be up to 7 minutes long. They can only include 3 students with that presentation to represent their team and their school. Visual aids and props are encouraged. So you will see they will have handouts, maybe flyers, posters. Some of them might be in costumes. They might have skits that they're doing, but no copyrighted materials are allowed. So no music, no videos, nothing of a copyright nature can be used. Let's see if there's someone else hopping in. I think they got in. Okay. Teamwork, they're encouraged to share equally. So you don't want just one presenter doing all the talking. They should be sharing equally. You might have they might be all three remote. So you might have one talk for a little bit, and then the next one clips in, and then the next one, or they might all three be standing around the same model, all interacting and talking. So, you might see variations there. And the scores are to be based on the quality of the presentation and the efforts that the team makes, and not necessarily how elaborate and clean their video productions are. And the rubric, or the questions that you'll be answering, there's guidance provided for how to score each of those 10 questions. We'll get to that further on. There's some resources that are available to the team, including videos of some past champions. I've got one I'll show at the end. I'll give you an example of a 7-minute video from a school last year that did well. And then we talked about the points a little bit. They are broken up into 2 parts: content delivery, and then engineering and technology. This is really just here for you to read over if you like. I'm not going to go through it too much, but these are hints and tips that were given to the teams in order to how to prepare to make your presentation. Create an outline, write a script, decide who's going to say what, write your lines, practice, practice, practice. So you will see, these are 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. You'll probably see a wide range of quality of the presentations that you get. Some might be fairly basic. Some of them might be well rehearsed and well thought out and cover all the bases. And so that's the nature of how the scores should fall. Each of the 10 questions that you're going to be answering has 5 points associated to it. So if they don't do it, or it's just not there what you're being asked for, it's a 0. If they did the best possible for that question, it would be a 5. So you got 10 questions at a maximum of 5 points each for 50 points. So I'm sorry if this is a little blurry. I had to explode it a little bit, but just going to go through the questions real briefly and give you an idea of, this is the point scale from 1 to 5. So none, poor, fair, good, very good, excellent. And for each question, they kind of give you an idea of how to score it. For the overall presentation content, the first question, major elements, intro, body, and conclusion, logical flow and transitions, supporting details. Was it disorganized, and was there no major element addressed? Was it fairly organized, contains most major elements, some details and transition, but ideas could be more developed, up to extremely well organized, effective, variety of supporting details, overall presentation is thoroughly developed. So you kind of get the idea of scoring of 1 through 5 for each of these questions. Overall presentation delivery, was it clear and audible? Were they confident and creative? On balance, was there a balance of people and visual aids? Question 3, the city overview and daily life. Are they telling you about their city? Are they telling you about what the daily life is like for the citizens in their city? Are they telling you why people want to live in their city? Infrastructure and services. Again, you'll probably see a lot along the lines of eliminating waste in their city, because that is the theme this year. But they'll talk about futuristic features of their city and infrastructure, innovation, city services, and you'll get some really interesting things that they come up with. It's never, it always surprises me how many things they can think of that just boggle your mind as far as how they think they're going to eliminate waste. And some of it is realistic, some of it's a little futuristic, but it's always very entertaining. Circular economy. Are they designing out the waste? Are they telling you about it? Are they giving you good descriptions of their solutions and supporting details? Still within the content and delivery portion, the use of demonstration aids. So are they using models or photographs or their actual model that they built? Are they using visual aids? Are they well prepared and legible? Do they enhance rather than distract from the presentation? So do they help emphasize the points that they're making about their city? Teamwork, team members supporting each other, team members sharing time equally. Like I mentioned, you don't want just one student doing all of the presenting or talking. You want to see collaboration, you want to see sharing time, you want to see, good collaboration and support, equivalent knowledge, so that's not just one person, saying all of the important stuff. And then the engineering and technology portion are these last three questions. The engineering design process, discuss the application of the engineering design process to their project. Demonstrate the knowledge of engineering roles in the city, design and operation. And then talk about the risks, discuss the risks and benefits. Analyze trade-offs that they had to make in developing their city. In order to get something, did they have to give something else up? And yes, the students all have the same rubric, so they know the questions that you're going to be scoring them on. So the good teams, especially the ones that are really competing, they're going to have these questions, so they're going to be honing their presentation to give you this information that these questions are asking. So again, you'll see some very good presentations, I hope, once they start coming in. At this point, I'd like to show an example presentation, and this is right off YouTube. I think the Future City website has a link to it. And then we'll talk a little bit more about scoring, and then look at how that works within the CMS, which is where CMS is the competition management software. It's where it takes you as a volunteer when you log in to Future City. Let's see, get that little example clip going. Here we go. This one was from last year. I believe this is the school from Michigan. I think they made the top 5, but they did not win the national last year. And let's see if this will play. If you can't hear the audio, let me know. I might have to adjust a setting. There's no audio yet, but hopefully here in a little bit, you'll hear the teams talking, or the team talking.
We're not getting the audio. We're not getting the audio, Chris.
Pause. Let's see. Patty told me last time what to do. Patty's not on, I don't think.
Within Teams, there's a setting to allow audio devices or something like that. Yeah, I can't remember.
Yeah, I know this happened last week, and Patty was on, and there was a setting I needed to adjust. I just don't know which setting it was.
It's when you share your screen, there's the option to share audio.
Let me unshare and reshare. There we go. Okay. Okay, I think I got it. Let's see if you can hear it this time. It is a little quiet, so you you might, the volume, I tried to turn it up, but you might have to turn your own volume up to hear it a little better.
Hey Hannah, did you hear about Cafe Aldrin, the new restaurant in the commercial district?
No, I haven't.
Great food, but no atmosphere.
Good one, Emerson.
It is a good one, but let's move on to why we are here.
The 50th anniversary of Gateway Station Armstrong, or GSA for short. Its location at the upper rim of the Shackleton crater at the moon's south pole was chosen because of access to water and oxygen, two lunar resources that can be harvested to keep inhabitants healthy and safe.
For sure, let's get around the 1 inch equals 100 feet scale model of this amazing lunar city. I'm Brendan, Transport and Fueling Manager. It's been 50 years since we welcomed our first class of recruits, including civil engineer Emerson.
That's right. I was here during the initial permanent infrastructure development. GSA was a small colony of less than 500 back then. Our team developed the Collins Transport Refueling Station at the Lagrange Point. It was the original springboard for travel to Mars.
On this stage, we have the past, present, and future of GSA.
Yes, and as president of the Gateway Historical Society, I represent the past. And as current operations manager, we represent the present. And our recruits, they represent the future. Welcome.
Thanks. I'm excited to begin my role as maintenance lead for the city's water and oxygen resources.
And we are happy to have you here. Let's tour GSA. As you can see, the industrial zone is located at the surface. Water purification and regular oxygen systems are located here and here, and our city is powered by two systems, solar energy harvesters here and the helium fusion power plant over here.
Mineral refining and the Collins Refueling Station shuttle are also located on the surface. And to protect residents from solar radiation and lunar dust, the residential and commercial zones are located below the surface and naturally occurring lava tube habitats.
Here you can see the residential zone, which offers educational facilities and several housing options. And here you can see the commercial zone with its markets, dining, and exciting entertainment.
And here we have medical, safety, and municipal services, as well as agri-pod food production and waste management systems. All zones and all services are interconnected by an efficient vacuum tube transport system that you can see here.
When GSA was proposed as an outpost to support the transport refueling station, the biggest problem we solved was sustaining life outside of a lunar lander. After 3 minutes without oxygen, irreversible brain damage results. For this reason, securing a source of breathable air was job 1, and 60% of our body is water, which we can only live without for 3 days. Securing a source of water was job 2.
Yes, initially, outpost residents lived in inflatable habitats. They were expanded on site like this. Water, oxygen, food, energy, everything is brought from Earth. Once built, the self-sustaining outpost grew to a colony of 500, and then to the current city of 5,000.
Many are eager to come to GSA for a 2-year rotation. We're heading back to Earth for a gravity refresh. Even with artificial gravity rotators like this, the lunar microgravity 1/6 of Earth impacts muscle mass and bone density.
In finding a solution to the water and oxygen challenge, GSA outpost engineers use the engineering design process. Define the problem, learn the specs, bring some ideas, and then design and build a solution.
And don't forget about testing and refining the solution, and then sharing it. I'll start with the water solution. Once ice in permanently sheltered areas was confirmed with the Artemis missions, the original GSA outpost was set up near the Shackleton crater, and ice was harvested with lunar hoverbots.
The ice was brought back to the outpost, where it was melted with solar concentrators and filtered with graphene mesh systems like this.
Water is a precious commodity on the moon. Once harvested, it is used in reuse. Bioregenerative reuse of water and waste resources take place in GSA's agri-pod systems.
Water vapor from plants is condensed and filtered. Clean water is used by residents, and then gray water and waste are fed to microbial composters. We send water back to agapods for irrigation.
It's a closed loop cycle.
Exactly. Agapods grow the plants, and plants give off water vapor and produce fresh air.
Fresh air. That takes us to the second solution, oxygen.
Lunar soil, which is called regolith, contains 40 to 45% oxygen by weight. To extract the oxygen, the Metalysis FFC process used an electrochemical process. On the Metalysis, metal oxide cathode from lunar soil is reduced to metal and oxygen with the graphite anode. Agri-pod greenhouses also supplement oxygen needs through photosynthesis. Agri-pods produce oxygen for inhabitants, and inhabitants produce carbon dioxide for agri-pods.
Water and oxygen systems are powered by solar energy. You know, the The South Pole receives 200 Earth days of light per year and is never 100% dark, so plenty of energy. These two solutions have so many benefits, like clean water and plentiful oxygen, but there must have been risks and trade-offs.
Always, for instance, a limitation was the cost to implement. Outpost engineers were eager for the solution to be implemented all at once. A compromise was to implement it over time using modular scalability.
And what about system malfunctions?
No worries. Redundant controls prevent malfunction. A trade-off is definitely cost.
But you can't put price on safety and reliability.
You've got that right, Hannah.
Another risk is depleting ice reserves near GSA. The water molecules trapped in lunar soil provide an additional resource. About 12 ounces of water per cubic meter of regolith can be produced.
And threats can include damage to the industrial zone from impact debris. But uptime is ensured by redundant systems and daily supply transports from Earth.
Many different engineering disciplines were involved in developing the water and oxygen system. Environmental engineers like me, who designed water purification systems, and civil engineers like Emerson, who designed and developed the infrastructure.
And chemical engineers who developed the metal oxide electrolysis systems.
Yes, many engineers were involved, are involved, and will continue to be involved.
You know, Hannah, I believe that GSA's water and oxygen systems are in good hands with you. And I also believe it's time for me to head to the transport station and catch the next transfer shuttle back to Earth.
But first, let's head over to the new cafe in the commercial district.
Yeah, I'm hungry.
Me too.
That reminds me of another joke. Why wasn't the moon hungry?
I don't know why.
Because it was full.
Good one, Emerson.
Come on, guys, let's go eat.
I'm Dr. Jeff Inneker, and today we'll explore the phases.
Sorry, yeah. Okay, let's see if I got this presentation. Okay, I still got folks on? Yeah, it looks like we do. Okay, so that was an example of a Future City presentation from last year, and you will be logging into the CMS here. Just to give you I'll give you the schedule first, and then we'll go into the CMS a little bit. This is the overall schedule on the left, so you can see these teams have been working on this competition since they've been in school, probably since September. A lot of them have, and you know, the deliverables started before Thanksgiving with the essay, the model, and then the presentation is due on the 8th. I did look in the CMS, and there are no early submittals yet, so we don't have any presentations in there to look at. That was why I showed you an example of one from last year. But I do expect the presentations to start rolling in here very soon. They are due on the 8th of January. And then I will be making the judging assignments on the 9th. And then the scoring needs to be done and uploaded back into the CMS, the competition management software, back into the CMS by the 15th. And that is a hard date because that is also the day of the Q&A session. And following the Q&A session, we need to rank the top 5 teams from our region, and we need to announce that on the 16th. So on the 16th, we are going to announce the ranking and the top 5 teams. So we need all of the presentation scores uploaded by the 15th of January. So let me show you a little bit about the CMS and how it works. It is what you, I think I turned that down. Let me go back and get it back up. So it's just the Future City where you log in. If you've logged in once, I think it will remember you. And then my screen looks a little different than what yours will because I'm a coordinator, so I have access to other drop-down menus. But you'll see one for scoring. It'll either say judge assignments or scoring, and it will list the presentations that have been assigned to you. So you'll see 2 or 3 or possibly 4 teams adjacent to where your scoring is. And what you will do is you'll go and click on that school. And as an example, I'll just show you how the essay worked. We've got the essay scored already. When you click on that school, it'll show you the rubric. So if you want to see those questions, and again, like we just talked about, it'll show you the rubric. You can look at it. It'll show you the video file. There should be a submission here that will have a link to the video presentation. So that's where you'll go to actually watch it. Click that link. And then when you're done watching that link, you will come in, and the questions will be different because these were the essay questions, but you'll have the 10 questions here that we went through for the presentation, and you will give them a score of 1 through 5. Now these essays were only 1 through 4. Let me go back, and I think the models were 1 through 5. So let me go look at a model real quick. So the models, yeah, you'll have 1 through 5. So you'll have question number 1. What score do you give it? So what I normally do when I'm scoring a presentation like this is I'll kind of keep notes on the side with a pencil and paper, and then I'll kind of go through my scores on paper, and then I might watch it a second time or sometimes a third time and adjust the scores accordingly. The other thing you can do is you can watch all 3 of your cities and keep pencil notes for each one and kind of score them, because you might find after watching one, you might think that there's a certain score that you like, but then the next team, you might have given them a 5, but then the next team just really knocked it out of the park, and you thought, well, maybe there should be a little separation between those two. So I kind of keep my pencil scores on the side for the 3 teams that I'm scoring. Once I'm satisfied with all 3 teams and all 3 scores, then I go and upload all the scores at one time when I'm done, when I'm done. So what you'll do is you'll enter the score for each of the 10 questions that you have for the presentation, and you'll hit save. Now, once you hit save, that's it. So you can't go back in and change them. So you want to make sure that your scores are right in this format before you hit save. Now, if you hit save and maybe you made a mistake, or you thought about it some more, let me know. I can go in and make adjustments afterwards. But once you've saved your scores for that team, then that team is done. Let's see, that is the CMS. Again, we don't have any submittals yet, I don't believe. Let me look again, city presentations. Yeah, so nobody's submitted their presentation yet to look at, but you'll see the score, you'll be able to click here, you'll be able to watch the presentation and then score it. And you'll only be able to see the 2 or 3 or 4 schools that are assigned to you. And those assignments, again, will take place on the 9th of January, and they are due back by the 15th. And I'll probably send a reminder out on the 13th or 14th for any that have not yet been scored. I think that kind of wraps up the bulk of what I wanted to talk about. So if I can get back to my So I guess at this point, I will open it up for questions if anybody has any questions about the presentation or the format.
So this is Gary, Chris. So this is the first time we've done virtual judging, right?
That is correct. So these judgings of presentations had always been in person and live with a panel of 3 or 4 judges. Last year, the North Carolina region did not host the competition. However, National did, and some other regions did, but they did it virtual like this. They had an opportunity to, in some other regions, work out some kinks last year. We've tried to learn from some other regions this year. And but this is our first year doing the presentations pre-recorded like this and judging them ahead of time. Yes.
I did some judging for national last year, and we did it virtually. So I've done this virtually with the models and presentations, and it's pretty much exactly what you're going over. Just want to let you know.
Okay, good.
So, since it's virtual, then when we're judging, we can review the video.
Yeah, you can watch it over and over again. If
over
you like.
and over again. Yeah. Well, that's gonna be a lot different than in-person judging.
Yeah,
be able to get it right.
I think some of the top teams too, they're going to really practice hard. You probably, if you're fortunate enough to get one of the top teams, you're going to see some pretty good presentations, I think.
Hey, Chris, this is Peter Graff. Question for you. Do you think if we're only judging, like I'm only judging the presentations, is it important for us to look over the model and the essay for the team that we're judging the presentation for, or are we supposed to go in cold without reading that stuff?
We can, that's a good question. So for the Q&A the day of, on the 15th, the virtual live Q&A, we were going to provide those judges all of the previous material, the essay, the model, and the presentation. But I don't see why we couldn't provide you, I mean, we have it. I could just send out to, once I assign the schools to the volunteer judges, I guess just attach their I think their one's a PowerPoint and one's a Word doc. So I could attach those so you can read the essay and you can look at the model presentation. The model is actually a presentation. It's a 19-slide PowerPoint about their model. So to provide context for their city and their presentation, yes. Yeah, that's a good point. I think that would be good to do. Yeah. I'll make a note of that. Would add that this is the first year with this new CMS system. And so we have had to learn to navigate it. And so we have had a couple of folks that have gone in and not been able to see the cities that were assigned to them, or the presentation, or the models, for example, or the essay. We had a couple of hiccups where the format wasn't in a way that they could read it. So if you do get your assignments and you go there and you can't find them, or if you click the link for the presentation and it doesn't play, please let me know, because this is the first year we've used this new CMS software, and we've got resources at National to help us if something's not working right.
So Chris, I judged 3 essays. Will you make an effort not to give me those teams again, those same teams?
Actually, what we're doing is we're making an effort to give the same judge. If you volunteer to judge the essay and the model and the presentation, we're going to try to give you the same 2 or 3, 4 schools. Yes.
Okay. I was hoping to get a more outstanding.
I guess luck of the draw, I suppose.
I had one good one. I'll go back. I had one really good one. Yeah.
Maybe they're going to do good with the presentation. You never know.
Yeah, you never know.
So I'm assuming that we'll receive the link to the CMS in an email.
So the CMS is actually, if you go, I'll show you what I do. So if you go to the Future City homepage right here, you just Google Future City, it takes you here. When you go to log in, so you created, when you volunteered, right, you registered. So you should have a login and a password. So when you go to log in right here, it should take you to your dashboard. And on the left side here, there should be a drop down for you to get to your assignments. Now, there'll be a drop down, but there's not anything populated yet because I haven't assigned anything. But you should see this dashboard when you log in to Future City, and this is where you will go to for example, if you were going to look at you know, if you were going to look at your assignment, you would go here, you would click on the school, you would have a link to the presentation rubric, you would have a link to the actual presentation right here. So you would go through the CMS in order to view the presentation, and then you would also then score it within the CMS.
Got it. Thank you.
Yep. So I guess if nobody else has any questions, I thank everybody for volunteering. This is being recorded. I will stop it here shortly, but we will have it available probably tomorrow to send it out as a link, particularly for those who were not able to attend today, or if some of you missed the earlier parts of it, you can go back and watch it. And I thank you for volunteering and look forward to, I guess, receiving your assignments on or around the 9th of January. And remember, the 15th of January is a hard date because we have to rank the schools by the end of the day on the 15th so that we can announce the winners, or at least the top 5, on the 16th. And also, just so you know, the top 5 next Saturday are going to then be invited to come to the final Q&A live in person at the Stewart Theater at NC State, and they will do their presentation on the stage in front of a group of live judges. So the top 5 teams after this preliminary round, if you will, are going to do the same thing, the Q&A all over again, but live in front of some judges here at NC State. And that'll be the 22nd, I believe. And there will be a video link to that, and that will be sent out to all the volunteers. So if you're really interested in seeing who the top 5 teams were and watch some of those finalist presentations of the top 5, we'll send a link out for that, and that'll be January 22nd. Let me do one thing real quick. I know I need to capture download attendance list. And I will go ahead and stop the recording. Where is it? Stop.